Hello friends, today I have got a wild tale for you. For about 10 minutes I believed that I had Cherokee ancestry. I really did. Guess what? I was wrong. I was really wrong. So let me tell you that story, how that all came about, and then at the end I also want to share some of the mythology and lore, some of the things people actually believe, and base this idea that I'm a Cherokee on this kind of mythology. So stay tuned for that because it's really pretty funny. Okay? Stick around. It all started right here. I found a marriage entry for Joseph Edmondson and Martha Ann Parks. Now, 15 years ago when I was doing genealogy the last time, I found Martha Ann Parks, and that's all the further I could get. I was dealing with a similar problem this time. There just really wasn't much information on her. So I looked and I looked and I looked, and I finally found Richard Taylor Parks, who had a daughter, Martha Ann Parks. And they were the same time period, same part of the country. The marriage license looked like it was consistent, that she would have gotten married, late teens, early 20s. And so I thought I had found a fit. Unfortunately, same name, different woman. And as I was researching Richard Taylor Parks and some of his line, I started seeing orange logos in Ancestry. And so I was checking it out and I was like, wait a second, that looks like the Cherokee flag. It was like, wait, what? Is that possible even? It was just really cool because I did a lot of research. I learned about the Trail of Tears. I watched everything I could get my hands on. I read until my 10 minutes were up. I found a Facebook group where they have Cherokee genealogists who will look through your information and tell you if you have Cherokee ancestry or not. So I read through some of the most recent posts and looked at the way people were presenting their information, looked at the responses, and so I knew it was not going to be fun. They how would you say? They were really rude to people. And so I knew going in that it was probably not going to be a positive experience, but I wanted to know. I really wanted to know. So I went in and looked very carefully. They have this this big graphic that's like bold and and caps and exclamation points and big red boxes and stuff, and it tells you specifically what information to enter. And you're not allowed to put anything else in other than just that. So I went through and found that information. I put it in and I hit send. Not tonight, but last night. And when I got up this morning, I looked at it, and so they told me I wasn't Cherokee, and I was like, yeah, okay, I know I'm not Cherokee, you know I'm not Cherokee. Glad we got that out of the way. Now can we talk about what what I actually am curious about? And it didn't really go very well. I mean, there was this, one of my frustrations early on was that they shared a couple of documents, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted documents. I wanted to see the information, right? But then they sent me to Ancestry to profiles who have similar information to mine, but I didn't feel like they're I felt it was crappy genealogy. I mean, it's easy to grasp at straws on Ancestry, and so where they had been in dealing with other people, making fun of them for saying, but Ancestry says, when it came to dealing with me, they were using Ancestry.com profiles as proof to me that I wasn't Cherokee, which I objected to because pick one. So, and then And then another woman entered the conversation, and she said, that's my ancestor as well, the one was asking questions about. And you're right, he has a daughter, Martha. And then it wasn't so much further down the list that she actually turned it around and said, no, he doesn't have a daughter named Martha. So I felt like, wait, what? Somebody who actually, it felt for a minute there like somebody was actually trying to understand. But then it kind of went from there to the point where they didn't, I mean, through the whole thing, they didn't bother trying to be respectful. They didn't bother trying to be kind or observe basic kind of courtesy kinds of things. It was all very, you're not Cherokee. You're not, I mean, they very much seem to have a purpose in telling people you're not Cherokee. And the funny thing about it is that they make fun of people for having that Cherokee and princess family story, because the Cherokee didn't have kings and queens, princess and princess, that kind of thing. So there's no way to have a Cherokee princess because that structure doesn't exist. So I knew that going in. So I didn't say I don't have a Cherokee princess. But what I told them was there is no family lore about having a Cherokee in my ancestry. That doesn't exist. And so one of the genealogists said that because it doesn't exist, I can't be Cherokee. Because a Cherokee would tell their children about being Cherokee. And that was presented as science. Interesting. I am kind of a little bit baffled by that. I mean, the person I was actually asking about was 1/8 Cherokee. So in my mind, it seemed reasonable to think that she had a white husband, she was living in the white world, she might not self-identify as Cherokee. So maybe she didn't tell her kids about being Cherokee. I mean, that didn't seem so far-fetched to me, but, anyway. So, and then the one person said, this person is not your ancestor. The only problem with that is they didn't actually give me any document proof. So I'm still in a position where if I really want to pursue this, I really still have to go back and continue the research. The problem is that then after I was dealing with two people, then another person chimed in, and then after that, after it's kind of like all over and we've proved that Carmen is not Cherokee, which I said from the beginning, then there's the ones that come along later. Why are you here? You're wasting the valuable time of the researchers. You shouldn't even be in this group. What? You were really grasping at straws here. I mean, just really mockery, and just really, I mean, I've really felt like this is the least hospitable place on earth. And the funny thing is that I had this perspective of Cherokee being like peace-loving people, and you know how you see oh, this is such a stupid thing to say, but I'm gonna say it. You know how you see the like Cherokee artwork with the the big war bonnet thing, and then some amazing like spiritual quote that's like insightful, and there really is some things that I have read that Cherokee say that I think are really cool and insightful, but these people that I was dealing with, they were just plain mean. And it was not a fun experience. I'm feeling a little war-torn tonight. I'm exhausted. That could have gone better. But I think the beauty of it is that now I feel like I can let that go. I no longer feel like I have Cherokee ancestry. yeah, the possibility exists that I could go back in and actually find the link that makes sense to me. But they've been, you know, they all ganged up on me and said it couldn't possibly be. So, I think given how I feel about it, I'm less inclined to go back and continue to search it out because it feels like kind of a traumatic experience. I'm tired of that kind of constant thing that we don't observe basic kindness and etiquette standards. I mean, that felt like purposefully hurtful, and I had seen them on other people's posts be like just mockery and belittling and, oh, it's another Indian princess story, and I knew there was a possibility going in, but I always feel like I'm going to be the exception to that. I don't know what that is. I always feel like nobody's going to do that to me because I wouldn't do that to them, so nobody's going to do that to me. And then when they do, I'm shocked. So yeah, this has been a long and painful journey, but I now know that I'm not Cherokee. So do you think you might be Cherokee? Apparently there's a lot of lore, and some people believe that there's a list of things that if you have some of those things on the list, then you probably are Cherokee. Let me read you the list. It's really quite interesting. A flat butt, shovel teeth, dangling ears, a crooked pinky finger, cat eye or snake eyes, which depends on your clan apparently, long straight black hair, no body hair, high cheekbones, long toes, hammer toes, knobby knees, pointed elbows, a dark red skin and year-round tan, a knot on the back of your head, a mark on your forehead, round bicuspid molars, an extra bone in the foot, teeth curve inward on the inside, a 13th rib, white or silver hair at an early age, or no gray until the 80s, a low jaw, large hands, flaky earwax, long roots on teeth. And here's proof. I feel it in my bones. Apparently there's lore about a specific kind of breast cancer only Cherokee women get. And there's a lump on the roof of my mouth. Genetic mutations, nose dents, that kind of thing. These are a few of the reasons that the Cherokee genealogists commonly hear as evidence that someone is Cherokee. No. 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 So, yeah. Crazy, right? Okay, and then there's a few other things that people commonly say. My grandma jumped off the Trail of Tears, hid out, and lived as white. These are also mythology, okay? My great-grandpa was full-blood and was given to white people along the Trail of Tears, and he was able to pass as white. Mythology. I had all my documentation, but it was burned in a fire. Mythology. My aunt told me I'm Cherokee, and she wouldn't lie to me. This is something that Cherokee genealogists hear a lot, okay? I am Cherokee of the Kentucky Miners, and y'all just don't know about them. Mythology. Well, so I hope we've handled some of the mythology around being Cherokee today. It's not if you've got high cheekbones or brown skin or long dark hair, or if you happen to love truck stop artwork, or if you like to wear turquoise. I mean, genealogy is still the way to discover if you've got actual Cherokee or any other tribe ancestry. And so that's a science, and we base these things in science. It's good to base things like this in science. And that's how I was Cherokee for all of 10 minutes. I would say I am not a Cherokee by blood, I'm not a Cherokee by culture, but I am a Cherokee ally. I have loved doing the research, learning more about this people group. I have loved the study of the weaving that they do. The baskets are phenomenal. I have followed a few jewelry designers on Instagram that are genuine Cherokee, not just, people selling turquoise and silver. And so I will continue to do what I can to be connected and not share like truck stop artwork, but try to be connected to the genuine Cherokee in some way or another. My heart is with these people. They're not my family, but they are people that matter. These are stories that matter. Had a little time and space to think about these things for a few days, and I've come out with a couple of conclusions. Number one, I really think that if your ancestors walked the Trail of Tears, then you are under no obligation to be nice to white people. And I mean that sincerely. Kindness is a choice, and it's not a choice you are forced to make. I would not for the world tell you how to be. So be free in that. Number two, why all the mythology? Why do you think it is that there's so much mythology surrounding being Cherokee or being pick a tribe? Why is that? How is it possible that we tell each other stories like, well, we're Cherokee, you can tell by skin color, hair, teeth, ribs, toes, whatever. I mean, let's look at that kind of information for the mythology that it is. And telling stories is fun. We could probably make up some really good ones, but let's just remember that there is fiction and there is fact, and telling stories about our ancestry based on how we look is definitely fiction. And that's okay. Just don't get upset with a Cherokee if you're telling fiction and they want the truth. Okay? And finally, I'll leave you with the words of one of the genealogists I spoke with in that Facebook group, and that is, if your ancestors believed they were white, believe them, they were. Thank you so much for watching today. It has been an interesting week, hasn't it? This genealogy study has been absolutely fascinating. I think anytime we engage in the study of who we are, where we come from, and what does that mean for us, on a spiritual level, on a intuitive level, it can get really interesting. And so I am enjoying the journey. I had a bump. I had a bump on the road in the journey, but the journey is still one that matters to me. Thank you so much for being along for the ride today. Like if you like, and subscribe to my channel. You can learn more about my tiny house experience in the description. You can also find our playlist, The Smart Sexy Small House, and see some of the projects we've done around here. This is the house after the tiny house. Also check out the Faith, Art, and Tiny House podcast playlist here on the YouTube channel. And there are some really cool past episodes in there. I took a little break on podcasting, but I will definitely be back at that in February, so stick around for that. And finally, I really am excited about being a Cherokee ally. I think that's going to be really fun. A new Cherokee friend of mine has encouraged me to look up a number of different Cherokee artists, And so I will be exploring their goodies and seeing if anything sparks my fancy in the coming days, because I may not be able to be a part of the community or culture or even a blood relative, but we are all family when it really comes down to it. We don't have to keep each other away. We're all human. We can be connected to each other. We can be connected to the earth. And finally, I want to leave you with the words from some truck stop art that I will read as a blessing. May the warm winds of heaven blow softly on your house. May the Great Spirit bless all who enter there. May your moccasins make happy tracks in many snows, and may the rainbow always touch your shoulder. God bless, and thanks for listening. I really appreciate it.